Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're right on time. Before we went on that break, we promised to bring you a very interesting topic. I've been joined by our guest. Mikki, I was having a tete-a-tete conversation with someone, and amidst the 16 days activism, and she said something that you all have been advocating and clamoring for gender-based violence against women should be mitigated, should be tamed. How about the men? And I was like, oh, do men go through violence as much? Because we look at the statistics, it's about the women, not really about the men. I know there's a percentage. And she said, of course, men go through violence. And hence the reason why we are bringing in this topic to you. Let's get to know your thoughts. And we have a man in the studio to do justice to that. He's no other than Desmond Olufowobi. I hope I get it. Well, he's going to say it himself. He's a president of the Nigeria Nexus. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you, Victoria.
Yeah.
For inviting me to speak on this very interesting topic that has been played down. A lot of people played down on it in our society, but calling me out today to speak on it is a way of us also advocating for also some of the things that affect Nigeria. So it's good to be in your studio.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here.
Okay.
So
Mikki. Yes, correct me about your son.
My name is Victoria Agbi-Idoko Desmond.
All right, Desmond, welcome. All right, so you heard my introduction. I was having a conversation with someone, and she was like, you're always talking about women. Talk about the men. Let's get to know. And I'm like, I don't think men go through as much violence as the women. Because when you talk about violence, you're looking at emotional violence, you're looking at domestic violence, verbal, mental, and the rest. I don't think in a way they get to experience that as much as the women. She said no, they go through violence too, but the fact that they don't get to have the ability to talk about it. And I'm like, okay, why do they not have the ability to talk about it? So do you term this topic topical?
Yeah, it is. It is an interesting topic to delve into. So I like to put this in perspective. First of all, you need to understand that when you say gender-based violence, GBV, it is any form of violence against anybody, irrespective of the gender. And you actually get that violence on the basis of the fact that you belong to that gender. It has been more pronounced. There have been law advocacy in respect to the woman gender, or let me say the female sex. In this country, we tend to use this gender instead of sex. You see, gender is the social construct on how a female child is meant to behave and a male child is meant to behave. That is gender. But the biological difference between a man and a woman is sex. So, just like what you said in your conversation with the person that I don't know, what I have also researched that I know is that in every 6 women across the globe, according to World Health Organization, who reports 3 out of every 6 women or girl child, female gender, have experienced some form of gender-based violence. And also men, the male gender, have also experienced 1 that is out of 6. 1 out of 6. Why women? 3 out of 6. That is like 100% of this. So men only shared about 50%. So that is why the attention has always been focused on women. But whether you like it or not, a lot of men in our society have suffered different forms of gender-based violence. It's even worse in South Africa. It's worse in South Africa compared to some other part of
Why
the
are you
world.
using South Africa as a study?
Yeah, according to the statistic, you know, a lot of guys have gone through gender-based violence compared to other parts of the world. Now, the reason why women tend to raise their voice and make these reports and speaks about their own experience and men do not is because when a male gender tends to complain, it turns to stigma. The society uses it against the child as a weakling, as a this, even in the house, even domestic. You know, there are some men that have gone through some violence from their partner, from their spouse, that they don't even have that confidence, that composure to speak about it in the public. So rather, they share it with their friends and their family. So most times, when guys, a male gender, go through some forms of gender-based violence, they don't have any court like the police. A female gender can approach the police station, can approach the court to seek redress. But most male gender do not have that kind of listening yet from authorities to address their issue, because how do you say it that you are being violated or by a female gender?
Is that not an issue of the societal perception of masculinity? Because I don't think it has anything to do with the police, but the way the society has positioned that the men, that the men are the head, the men are these, and therefore, like, it's more like it's a shame and a taboo for a man to speak of. But we also have issues like that for women. For women are often stigmatized when they come out to, like, say that they are victim of either one. When a woman say, "Oh, I was abused," or not say, maybe you were not acting right to your husband, or why did you go there? Why did you wear that kind of a clothes? Why did you go to his house? So there's always stigma in this kind of issues. So I don't think it's about being a man, and if it must be because it's being a man, maybe it's the societal construct of male masculinity.
You need to understand that there are different types of gender-based violence that have been meted against the male gender as well as the female gender. Some it could be social, some it could be psychological, some it could be economical, and also it could be political. You see, in this part of the world, in the world generally, you find out that a lot of women gender have not been given opportunity, you know, to represent their interests in the political space, as well as even certain rights within the community where they belong to, because they are female gender. As well as there are so many guys in some family that have suffered so much from their parents, from the family, from the society, because they are male gender. And you know, there are certain social activities that they actually do not allow the female gender to participate in. Meanwhile, naturally, they were supposed to be given the opportunity to also express themselves because they are human beings. And the same thing happened vice versa. But the point, I think, what the essence of this conversation is to also raise some advocacy and to also draw attention of the society on on gender-based violence against the male folks.
When I was coming into the studio, I told myself I was going to have an open mind, because I really do not know. Well, of course, I know that men are abused, but not to that extent at which the person I was speaking to, was hammering on. Mikki, do you have any point to it?
Yeah, well, like we've all been hearing of GBV, gender-based violence. Gender-based violence. Okay, the way it's projected now, it clicks an image of just women being battered, or women being molested, or a girl child being abused. But it's actually, take it as it is, gender-based violence. And what it means is violence targeted against an individual by virtue of their gender. So it might be men could be affected, women could be affected. Now, it has happened in society, maybe by virtue, I will not say because of society, I would say maybe by virtue of their physiological makeup, men are stronger. So probably they are more able to harm and hurt and attack and rape ladies. But there still exists that percentage of men who are being attacked, who are targets of gender-based violence. Now, this violence might come in different forms. So it might not just be you thinking that, you are a man, you're a weakling, a woman beating you. It might be in different forms. But anything that's a targeted attack is harmful. Take, for instance, if you have a relationship with a lady, one way or the other, you discover you're not compatible, you decide to break it off. She won't let go. She's stalking you maybe on social media. She's checking you all the time in the office, everywhere you're going, challenging ladies you speak to. That is abusive. It's abusive, and psychologically it's bringing you down. But like he said, as a man, you're not, you to even confide into your next fellow man, he'll be wondering, he might even say, why don't you hit her? Which is, is even escalating the issue. Then we'll even talk about violence itself. But like you were saying, I don't think the police have anything to do with it. It's the society. If men could speak up, stop bottling things up. And again, it's very, very harmful, because not only, like I said, the impact on you, it will also lead you into other situations which at the end may claim your life. Take, for instance, now you're a man who, every time you say something in your house, maybe you're slim built and tiny, your wife is a robokibo, you talk one, you get 10, So you now decide to bottle things up. Guess what you're going to do? Because you're a human being, you're going to resort to alcoholism. The more she's beating, the more you're drinking, you don't know it's your lifespan you're cutting into. Before we know it, we find you dead in the gutter. You might resort to substance abuse, which is another quick killer. And even if it isn't, to get out of abuse is very difficult. You understand? So these are different outlets you're seeking, instead of you to go straight, because what I should say now, take gender-based violence as a crime. Take it for what it is. If it's a man, if it's a woman, go over to the police station, lodge a complaint. It doesn't matter whom it is. If you say, oh, well, she's my wife. Did she remember she was your wife? Like I told you, I've said on this program, I've seen images. I mightn't have seen it in real life, but it was so frightful, where a very heavy woman had climbed onto the back of her own husband. Then she was holding a pestle. So, I mean, one blow to the back of the head and he's in the great beyond, isn't it? So, I mean, you can't afford to risk your life and say, oh, well, society is good. Which society? Society is never there for anybody. Society is there to eat your rice in your party. As they're going back, no, I'm not joking. Society is a construct that as they're going back, how was the wedding? The food did not go round. How was the wedding? Oh, the drinks ran out. How was the wedding? Now, wow, for the way the bride was dancing. She was dancing like an ashawo. These are the people you printed card to invite. So what are you using society for? So I'm happy we're having this discussion. If for nothing else, at least it shows that here on Ungendered, we balance the communication, we balance the equations.
It's quite intentional, because today happens to be the last day.
Right.
And all through the period, we've been talking about the female angle and aspect.
Right.
And here we have Desmond speak to us from the male angle.
Right.
It's really, really important we balance it. So I'd like you to take us through some of those abuses that men would go through, and ordinarily they would just feel like, oh, it's normal. Because I'd seen a situation where a man had to drink poison and he died because the sister of his wife had talked down at him, and he felt very bad because he could not pay hospital bill at the moment. Okay, and he went home, drank otapiapia, and he covered himself and slept, and he died. Okay, so that would be termed verbal abuse.
Yeah.
Other form of abuse men will go through, and they might just be bottling it up and not say anything, because the society has told them not to say anything because they are men. Your ego matters and this and that. So just take us through some of those.
Yeah, we need to get this fact clear. There was whatever kind of violence that have been meted against the female gender, men also experience it in all ramifications. Is it
Men are raped.
Yes, men have been raped. I've seen that in secondary school, and I've seen reports of that happening in university, that some girls, they ganged up against a man and raped the guy to death. And I've seen also situation whereby in the family, a guy was actually battered, violated, and trying to, like, you are a man, don't be a coward. You have to defend yourself. When you go out there, you have to, but because the guy is not a violent person, the family, the sister, some members of the family will gang up against the guy and battered the young man because he's, let me say, maybe a meek person. He's not that kind of violent person that can fight or defend herself. So instead of the society to encourage, instead of the family to encourage, and balance things, guys have gone through a lot, even in jobs. There are some guys that have lost jobs because they are guys. And because there have been strong advocacy for this gender-based violence, and it has always been attributed to female gender. The male gender have been left out. So now the attention is now shifting. The female gender have been protected sexually, this and that. There are so many organizations like the NAPTIP. Imagine the focus of NAPTIP. NAPTIP has only focused on female, girl child, women. And what about the male child that have been trafficked from this country to go and do some slavery outside the shore of the country? Nobody is speaking for the guy. The guy has been going through a lot of molestation. Guys have been going through a lot of violence, physical violence, from their place of work, from school, and from so whatever kind of violence that you have talked about that has been meted against the female gender has also been meted on the male gender. Like what she said while making a presentation is that men do not have that, I don't know whether because of their personal ego, to come out and speak out. That I am going through this. A lot of people have taken poison, result in the use of alcohol and cheap drugs, because of this same gender-based violence. So I think I'll add my voice to every young man there. Sometimes when we say man, don't forget that these men, some of them are just maybe 7 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old, that cannot even defend themselves. And because of the society see them as the head, society conceive them to be the stronger vessel. Some of them are weak because of their age, and they have gone through a lot. So the society should be purged out of any form of violence, either against the female gender or the male gender. Violence should not be accepted in any society because it affects our psychological development, it affects our productivity, and it affects the peace of the society. So it should not be tolerated, and government should also put in measures to see that they encourage, there has to be stronger advocacy. While you're doing that for the female gender, also for the male gender, you have to organize symposium where you also concern about the male gender, because whether you like it or not, this thing will go around and affect our society.
All right, I'd like to ask how we can actually create that inclusivity. Okay, because I know for a fact that because of the statistics of the higher percentage coming from the abuse from women, then that's what has formed the topic and debate of women actually being centered during these campaigns and sensitization. For instance, the 16 Days Activism, it's mostly about the women, although there's always the thing like gender-based violence. So it means that they're not always talking about the women, but women are often the focus. So how do we create that inclusivity whenever these campaigns are ongoing? I know we have he for she's talking about these things, we have rallies too talking about these things, but men are usually never the focus.
Yes, and that's why you've started a wonderful job from this Kaftan Television through this Engendered flagship program. You have started the advocacy, and I am here today. My consciousness has been awakened, and I have joined the conversation. So what we need to do is to continue, with this trend of getting to talk about this gender-based violence against the male gender. And beyond that, we need to begin to reposition things in our society to let the young guys, male gender, to also understand that sometimes when you are going through this kind of issue, you should speak up. Female gender have been speaking about this, and that is why it has drawn so much attention. But the male gender have not been speaking. So once you are not speaking about your problem, nobody will think about providing solution. So what we can only do from this studio and wherever we have symposium is to also encourage the young female, men, boys to also speak about their own experiences of gender-based violence.
No, okay, do you think we have to go back to the homes, to the families, to re-indoctrinate these young children? Because I hear parents say, do not cry, you're a man. Don't cry, you're a man. And do not allow, just like she said, do not allow someone to beat you. You're a man. Stand up for yourself. So it just creates that as if you're a god. And when a man is crying, it's just like, this man, more like it's not
Victoria,
okay.
do you know how many men that are crying inside themselves? Some of this misbehavior you see in the public is because of what the man is going through inside of his mind that he cannot speak about. Do you know that kind of euphoria, that kind of belief that you are a man, you have to fight for yourself, has affected the society? And that is why I see that some men are even behaving irrational, because they couldn't speak. Because they are not speaking, they are frustrated. And through their action, they are expressing more violence and causing more problem to the female gender. You see, the truth be told, a lot of young people are not getting it right. And even from the primary schools, from the family, even from the workplace, a lot of men are going through different form of injustice. I can say it's even better for the female gender these days, because you feel like the guy is strong, he can fight for himself. But then what about those who cannot fight for themselves? There are a lot of young guys. And even the idea of stand up for yourself and fight for yourself is going to cause more violence in the society. Standing up for yourself and fighting for yourself is another form of violence. Do you know how many young men that have been raped? Do you know that even what do you call it? Homosexuality. You see, do you know how many guys have been lured through force into homosexuality? Do you know how many young men today that became gay and they didn't know how they got there? Some of these things happen even from churches. I've seen stories of how a father molested young boys from the parish and they couldn't speak. These are some of the issues. So we need to begin to balance the situation, just like what you're doing here in schools. When there is an injustice against any gender, some people must be responsible to take it up. And that is how we can get it right.
What do you think are some of the things we can say to to those who are already victims right now? What can we say to them to make them feel that like they're in a safe space to start speaking out? Because that's the first thing that we noticed that brought, that speak out is what really helped the ladies. Some was, suffering all through lifetime. Take, for instance, we've noticed let me not say several, but in many cases, the men who are raped by people very near them. Like a housemaid rapes a very young child under her care. And, he grows up, should I say, kind of a shy, or what kind of a man he is. It's when he's really old that he now comes to tell people, by which time the damage has been done and, hit him over the years. What kind of safe spaces can we create for young people to start speaking out early and escape the danger early?
First of all, there has to be an institutional kind of approach or framework to get that working. For example, the society has not taken the male folks seriously. And sometimes there's this impression that guys or male gender cannot be violated. There is that wrong impression because of, most young people, especially young boys, it will be difficult. They don't have that belief that they can be even listened to or believed when they share their story. So the society needs to change. And then this traditional masculinity, that we have that impression that men are strong. So some people are not strong. Some men do not have that strength. In short, with the way the society is now being structured, you understand, with the kind of teachings, with the kind of education, and with the kind of competition for survival in the world today, there are some female gender that are even stronger, you know, to face life and to face life challenges better than some male gender. So the society needs to change that impression and start listening. It's to start from listening. The society presently is not listening to the complaints of men. So we have to empathize.
We listen to what is not being spoken?
Because the impression, the young people, the young male have that impression, even from our family. When the girl child try to raise an issue, you see the father, the mother pay serious attention.
Sure.
But when the male child wants to speak, I beg, you don't too stubborn. You know, there are things we do. They don't even want to listen to the male child. And that kind of situation will even affect them to speak on more serious issues. A lot of young boys are going through a lot, but they are not speaking. Even the family are not ready to pay attention. That is from the family. What about the society? What about institution? What about government? Do we have desk in the Ministry of Women Affairs? You know, we have Ministry of Women Affairs. Do we have Ministry of Men Affairs? That's part of institutional approach.
The men, exactly. The men are already grabbing over all these
institutions. There's no ministry you go in the world today that you go in Nigeria that you don't find female.
But we have men championing.
Who is the minister? Who is the minister of state?
Men already got it.
Who is the PAMSEC? You know, ministry, social development has always focused on women. Girl child, negating the male child, and it's causing this circle of unproductivity, because when the male child is not properly catered for, mentored, you find out that it will affect the total the outcome.
May I come here? I feel like the reason why the social development, like you said, has been centered on the women is because they are trying to perhaps sensitize women that they can do more, okay, as against what they've been. Let's not forget that we have the gender disparity. We're not talking about gender disparity, but the fact that you find out that a lot of social development program and education, sensitization, empowerment are geared towards the women. It's just for them, the kind of reorientation that women can do more. Men are already built in a way to know that, oh, I'm in charge, right? Man, they'll say, who rules the world? Men. Okay, so they've been built in that way and manner. And that's why when you go to many parastatals organization, men are in charge. It is only in this modern society that you find some women, they fight and struggle to be in some positions. Okay, and that's why, in a way, I'm sure she had to antagonize you immediately, because we have women that are fighting to be in certain positions. We are not yet there already.
Yeah, I think that has to do with our system. It has to do with our education. It has to do with about the teachings. But if you look at it in the real sense, women have better opportunities in this our world. In this present day Nigeria, women have better opportunity.
You're joking.
I'm coming. Women, see, let me tell you. Do you know that most of my friends, when they want to employ people, they want to create employment, they prefer to employ female. To be
the junior staff now. Okay, let's be here. Now, guys, structure from top to bottom are men.
I'm showing my own experience. There are places I've been to,
and the junior
that
staff
deliberately, the men folks now, they are now creating even the opportunities the women are not ready to take.
Okay, now is the men creating it?
Men are creating so many opportunities for women, but they are not willing. That's why I said
that's why
I said it's education. The level of education and the teachings, the content of our education should be faulted. It is now the content. It is what the woman. It is about the social construct now. It is not about whether the opportunities are not there. The constitution, most of the framework since Beijing conference, institutions, framework, legal framework, system have adopted that, has addressed that inequality and created some level of what? Equity between the male and the female in every organization. If federal government is employing now, if federal government wants to do some employment, they balance it now. Federal government balances even admission in schools now. You find out that there are more female in schools than even male child.
They've always been more female, but when
deliberately. But now
when it comes to the space of
it is what your mother taught you while you are growing up. That is the social construct that we need to address now. You know, they will tell you that this kind of job a woman cannot do it. This kind of job, but I see all that changing. I see all that. I've seen guys now that are more interested in doing makeup. Some guys now, male child, now interested in doing nails.
But do you know what the term those kind of men?
Things are changing. I've seen female that are into mechanical engineering and this and that. I've seen beautiful and wonderful female child that are into photography now. But do you know that today, in Nigeria of today that I know, men are being sidelined. Men are being sidelined, and it shouldn't be. It should be balanced society. It should be balanced, and also the teachings. What you're teaching them matters. It's not about having women everywhere. In politics, it's female. You see, men don't vote in this country, Nigeria. Now you say you are telling me now that women have not been given opportunity. They have been given opportunity, but they are not actually claiming those spaces because of the level of their interest or their education or the social constructs. So that is why you should speak to. You should speak to mothers. You should speak to family. That what a man can do, a woman can also do it better. Not for you to be a support system. The kind of teachings that our society have been giving to female child is that they can be a support system. And they have always been taking those courses that will make them to become support system. It's not that they are not there. See, if you go to politics today, people, all those Yadon calling, all those one that sings, all those one that sings in campaign, they are female. Those who vote, number of people that register for votes for voters registration in Nigeria, they are women. The market women are the people who vote in election, and yet they are not coming together to take their space. That now women are voting for men. Why are women not voting for women? That is the question. Why are women not
That's
advocating?
not the question. The question is why the political parties not letting women come up.
In short, what the political
What is woman leader?
What the political party is
this
doing now is
woman
that
leader?
they will splash the money. If you're a woman, instead of paying 100 billion to become a president, you pay 50 million.
Because you know now. You already know. If you like, pay no money.
It's the society now.
You already know. If you like, collect it free.
It is not about the framework now.
Collect
The kind of framework that have been given to women, we do not have it for men. So the society needs to balance so that we can have it.
I think what Mikki, beyond the audio, what is being televised, on the ground, what is happening. I've seen people who vie for political positions. I did a documentary recently about a woman who had contested and how she did not go close or far to
Why?
Yes, because they wouldn't allow her. The male counterparts would not allow her. You spoke about photography
Yes.
just some minutes ago. I have a friend, a female, who is a photographer. Okay, sometimes I understand when you say there are opportunities or the fact that, oh, you're a woman and it means
You get it on a platter of gold.
you get it, but most times they'll say you cannot do so much. They'll say you can. They say you cannot do so much because there are some jobs you cannot do because you're a woman. Okay, there's always like a restriction. Like the fact that you're a woman, it's a fancy thing. It's a fancy thing that you're a woman and you can do photography.
Yes.
That's just that on the audio. But when it comes to the real job, they'll say, you cannot do it. You're not. You do not have the
real this thing is being
to do it.
Let me even correct something. Let me correct something here. Thank God you invite me to come and speak.
Right.
I've been a strong advocate for women.
Oh, I'm glad to hear.
I've been a strong advocate for women.
All
I
right.
love women, not for any
No, we
illicit.
understand.
I
Right.
love women to take charge because if you look at the country and now that we are advocating for inclusivity, you cannot take the female gender out of it because over 51% of the country total population is made up of women. That means we have more women in Nigeria than men. Now, if you shut out that percentage in our population, you will see that Nigeria will be retrogressing. instead of progressing. So, but the point is this, it's about the interest of the woman. We need to start changing certain rhetorics from the family. We need to start changing some content in the family, the kind of social construct. That's why I say there's a difference between sex and gender. You know, a woman is taught that this is how you should behave, especially it's worse in Africa. Imagine a father and a mother telling a child that no, you cannot do politics. Your father is telling that you cannot go into politics. You cannot go into politics. What does that mean? It means that the family is already shutting them out of opportunities that you are now hungry about that they are not getting. You see, there are so many things that is wrong in our society, but when it comes to framework, the Beijing conference has actually set the tone, and it has corrected so many things. Now, the ball is now in our court as families to now address these key critical issues of this gender. We need to start doing some reconstruction of the performance, responsibility, and what should be the makeup of a female gender in the society. And that is where the problem lies. Meanwhile, don't forget that when there are opportunities today, women, female gender tend to be more favored or get more benefit. Today, that is the issue. And I thank God for Beijing conference.
Well, I think Mikki really disagrees with you on that.
No. I mean, I'm interested to hear it. If I could see it in practical terms, because like I've told you my own practical terms, I don't believe in things, I believe in what I'm seeing. How do I believe in what I'm not seeing?
Look at this studio.
There are 36 governors and one federal capital.
In the midst of two women.
Okay, look at it
it's
now. Look at it. But we have 37. This is engendered now.
I'm coming. The voices of the female here is even stronger than my voice. Because I'm getting it from the left.
When you go to the master room, you will not see any female there.
No, if this topic,
the master room, control room.
Why are women not there? Why are you not there?
No, I should have, because
I
you
can
said
be there
there's so many women in Nigeria.
No, I can be there too if I
There's
want.
so many women in the country.
I cannot be here and be there.
So why are more women not there?
Okay, I think that's the question.
And I'm sure that if female comes here for that employment, the company, the organization will prefer to even give female gender the opportunity, because this female gender, they have this managerial sense. Women have that capacity to manage things more than men, because women are more reserved and organized. So what we are only saying now is that our society should begin to look at redefining the role of women, because that's one thing that has made Africa poor. Africa has been poor because we have shut the female gender out of the construction and the building of Africa society. One of the reasons for the poverty in Africa is because of the kind of teachings and the kind of construction, the kind of information, wrong information that we have given to the female gender in Africa, not just Nigeria, but the whole of Africa.
Well, thank you very much, because you said that you have actually been an advocate for women.
Yes.
And I mean, from what you said, you have actually proven it to me. I believe in what I see, not in what I hear. So that's very good. But anyway, it made us deviate a lot on our topic, which was actually, we were trying to advocate for the men. So I would just say, well, that would be my little 2 cents. I'm chipping in for the families, like I said, to please pay attention to both sexes and allow the little boys to speak. Be very watchful. Don't say, oh, I've left him with the housemaid from morning to night. Mothers, fathers, don't leave it for the mothers. Fathers, when you come and ask yourself, what have you and your baby nurse, what have you been doing all day? Find out. Let him tell you in his innocence. He'll be able to tell you, oh, if she pulled open my panties, he'll tell you if you're close to them. And then you'll be able to say. And like I said, this business of leaving sex education to the schools is very wrong. Because now you'll be able to tell your little boy that the touching beyond here is no. If anybody says, say no, scream out. That's where it starts. So that later on, and then when they now get married, you should be able to tell them these and these are acceptable behavior. For instance, nobody has to, poke their nose right into your phone and poke their nose into everything to do with you. It's somehow abusive. You understand? But these things are not even being taught right from the basics, from the home. So I'm thinking, fathers, I'm addressing the fathers. Fathers, you need to step up to the plate. Don't say, oh, raising children is women's work. Women who are in the office and coming home again to raise the children, it's your work. True. Step up. Watch out for that son of yours. Yes. Let him come to be somebody in society that's a fully well-rounded figure. Because now what we have a whole lot of times, we have very successful men in oil and gas. They're very successful in politics. They're big governors. Their marriages are crashing. Their homes are horrible. You don't even want to imitate their characters. The characters are poor because the foundation is already bad, faulty.
Indeed.
So I think that's where I'm going to leave it.
Thank you, Mikki. Thank you, Desmond. Olufowobi. All right. President of Nigeria Nexus. Well, it's good to have you on the show. I would have chipped in my 2 cents, but Mikki has said it all. All I'll say is, although the 16 days activism comes to an end today, let the sensitization and the advocacy continue against gender-based violence, be it male or female. Until next time, I am Victoria Agbi-Idoko.